Welcome to the Veterinary Rehabilitation Podcast, where we aim to help fellow veterinary rehab therapists increase their knowledge and elevate their practice. I'm Megan Kelly.
And I'm Anae Lloyd. Together, we bring you the latest insights, research, and information in the field of veterinary rehabilitation.
This podcast is brought to you by Onlinepethealth, a leading continuing education membership for veterinary rehabilitation therapists. With Onlinepethealth, you'll have access to a wide range of online resources to help you stay up to date with the latest techniques, advances, and trends in the industry.
Our podcast features in-depth conversations with leading experts in veterinary rehabilitation. They share their own experiences and knowledge to help you improve your practice. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out in the field, our goal is to provide you with the tools and the insights you need to succeed.
So join us as we explore the exciting world of veterinary rehabilitation and help you take your practice to the next level. Hey Vet Rehabbers, it's another one of my Behind the Vet Rehab Practice podcast this week. And if you're new to the Veterinary Rehabilitation Podcast, I want to let you know these are my favorite interviews to do. What I love about them is I get to interview vet rehabbers and they share their wins and their losses with me. And although it's not great that they make mistakes, when they share them with us, we get to learn from them. And when we find ourselves in that same position, we have hindsight, which we would never have had before. So you get to fast track your success by not repeating the same mistakes that they made. This week, I'm speaking to Ashley Wiltshire from Scuba Sam's Hydrotherapy in Texas. Ashley and I chat about how she started her practice with her husband and the pros and cons of working with your spouse. She also shares her marketing strategy and her client recruitment strategy. You guys are going to really enjoy this one. If you're on Facebook, please come and join us in our online communities. We have the small animal vet rehabbers, hydro vet rehabbers, equine vet rehabbers, and our business vet rehabbers. This is where all the vet rehabbers hang out online. We share research, tips, and advice, and it's really a great supportive community. We'd love to have you there online with us. A quick word from our amazing podcast sponsor, Curacao Vet. Curacao is owned by Nada Robinson. She is an integral part of our community. She is always supportive, always keen and ready to sponsor education and learning for our vet rehabbers. Nada first developed her courses at Colorado State University, where she started the Medical Acupuncture for Veterinarian Certificate program, and this was in 1998. In so doing, Dr. Robinson developed a science-based platform for veterinary acupuncture, which was the first of its kind. Today, Curacao Vet offers a comprehensive curriculum in integrative medicine with a rational evidence-supported foundation. They also have courses in medical acupuncture, photomedicine, botanical medicine, medical massage, and integrative rehabilitation. So if you want to find out more, you can go to Curacao Vet's website, which is curacao.org. All right, over to my chat with Ashley. Hey Ashley, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Ashley, won't you tell the listeners how you got into the field of hydrotherapy?
I've always had a desire to work with animals, and from a young age. And I think it's funny to say that me and my husband kind of fell into hydrotherapy. We've had a dog that loved water and wanted to come over to America. We were in the UK, and both said, well, what can we do together? What can we do where we can utilize both of our skills? And I didn't want to go employed. I'd been self-employed for a while anyway. And so, yeah, we came up with hydrotherapy. I looked in the area that we were going to and saw that they were lacking. So for me, being self-employed, I want to find something that's obviously going to be profitable and, you're going to be successful or whatever. And I could see that there was nothing like it over there compared to what we had in the UK. So yeah, that's how we fell into it.
Yeah. I mean, hydrotherapy, I think, has been going a lot longer in the UK. And I think in the States, hydrotherapy is more sort of encompassed within a veterinary practice. It's not a standalone hydrotherapy center, and we have those here in South Africa, loads of them, they're open, in all different towns and cities, and the same in the UK. But for some reason, the field of hydrotherapy is you're either a veterinary technician or veterinary nurse that does hydrotherapy, or you're a veterinary rehabilitation therapist that does hydrotherapy. There are not many qualified hydrotherapists, right? So you studied in the UK. Tell us about
Yep.
your course. How long did it take? And did you find that that course equipped you to open up your own practice? Because, I mean, if I think about myself, just the course of my veterinarian course, that didn't equip me to open up my own
No.
practice. Completely different thing. And I think that in a lot of these courses, the business aspect of things is lacking.
Yeah, yeah. So we did ours through, I think it's Animal Jobs Direct is the website, but it's mainly through Woozle Bears, which is quite a big network in the UK. And, we had done our research and looked to see, what would be doable at that time because we were both working. So we wanted to find something that we could do in our spare time, like get the studies done. And then there was obviously the practical element, and it wasn't too far away from us, which worked with having small children. So I would say the course when we did it, it has been developed more since. And I think the more developed course now is even better. They've included a lot of other elements that weren't included when we did it. But yes, there are some bits in there that do cover running a business, definitely. Obviously, the equipment, they cover all of that. But I would say I gained more from the practical assessment when we went there. And I mean, I'm like this, I get my notepad out and I'm writing everything down. And I'm talking and I'm asking questions because I just like that. I like to understand and know. So, but the good thing is from doing the practical, we got to know a couple of the individuals working there, and I still talk to them now. So when we did get to open our center, they were on hand and I could ask them, hey, what did you do with this? What did you do with that? Or if it came to equipment, I could ask them too. But the other good thing is actually there is Facebook groups on there, and there's always people on there asking questions about equipment, asking questions about this, that, and the other. So that helped us too. So yeah, I think there is an element in the course. I do think it's better now than it was. So I do highly recommend it.
So what were your biggest challenges when you first opened? I mean, did everything just run to plan and smoothly, or were there some hiccups?
So I've been self-employed since I think 2012, and that was always a at home. I could take my laptop anywhere. It wasn't really client facing if I needed to be. So this was a whole new thing for us. It was fun. It was definitely fun, like putting it all together. And I almost like, for me, my attitude was like, if we ran into a problem, that's okay. It's not meant to be. Let's find a solution. What else is going to work instead? So challenges, I would say at the time, not being as worldly and understanding what was available closer to us, because we had moved from the UK. So we were familiar with all these bits of equipment that were based in the UK. So initially, our three main bits of equipment all came from the UK, cost a lot of more money than they probably should have because we got it from the UK. And really, if we had gone close to home and looked and done some research, we probably could have found it closer to home, basically. But
Yeah.
other than that, I think challenge-wise, I think it was just, like you said, piecing it together. And I've written all this stuff down, like things that we would need to conduct, our hydrotherapy sessions and everything else, the equipment, and we bought all these little things. But I don't think there was any big challenges other than, I guess, when we moved in, it was a blank canvas. And so getting the landlord to understand what it was we were looking for, like the floor, we don't want it to be slippy. And to be honest, the floor still isn't that great. And we really wanted a walk-in tub that didn't have a step up or anything, that kind of just was built into the ground, and he didn't understand. So getting used to, I guess, wow, my husband worked in the construction industry in the UK. So for him, it was frustrating because he was like, why can't they just do this? So other than that, we worked our way through it. There wasn't anything major.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm weird. I found it fun.
Oh, it is fun. It's so exciting. I think especially when you've got a blank canvas and then you create something, then you see what you've created, and then you're having animals in there that you're helping. It's like, it is fun. Listen, I think out of all the veterinary sort of professions, I think we've definitely got the funnest one, you know. I used to say to my husband, work is like fun. I mean, like we paralyze dogs to walk again, and you know, I mean, it is fun, you know. So
I get chills like when you see that dog just actually progressing and something changing. I just get really excited and just overwhelmed with it all. But yeah,
very rewarding. So let's chat about working with your husband. So, you know, some people might be like, that's never going to work. So working day in, day and night with your husband all the time, how does that work out for you? Have you guys, you know, has that been smooth sailing? Have you done projects before together? Or has it been sort of like you've had to work out, okay, I do this and then you do that, and that's what we stick to?
Yeah, again, it was a whole new thing for us. So yeah, there's definitely some learning curves in our relationship. It was definitely harder in those first couple of years. I do feel like we've come to an understanding now. Like you said, he's really good at doing this, I'm really good at doing that, and just kind of knowing where we both stand. I'm very, if I'm in work mode, it's business, you know, if I'm there. And I think that's sometimes hard for my husband because he's not, you know, like that. He's almost more relaxed than I am. And, you know, he can see when I'm getting a bit stressed and he wants to help. And yeah, so there are times I honestly doesn't like it, like, you know, coming home, like I don't think to myself, oh, God, I got to see my husband again, you know, like I don't get that at all. Like he's my best friend. So, you know, I love hanging out with him and being around him. And you know, he has a different perspective as well when it comes to the dogs, which, you know, we can bounce off of each other, and you know, but he's also the best handyman I know. So he's, you know, good at like fixing things. So yeah, it was tough, but you know, ultimately I think as a marriage, it's definitely made us stronger, which, you know, it could have gone a complete opposite way.
Definitely risky going into business with your husband, but if it works, it works. So I've interviewed a number of couples that run the business together, and it just works. Like they just like, you're good at that, I'm good at this, and yeah, they just gel completely.
Yeah.
So run through with us like how the practice runs, like in a weekly basis. So like, tell me what your hours are, who does what in the practice, do you have any other staff that help you? So just give us a rundown so we have an idea and can picture it.
Yeah, so it has changed a lot over the years because, you know, with building up our clients and building those relationships, so the hours we've just kind of adapted to when the clients were coming in. For a really long time, and up until recently, we were always alternating between Monday and Tuesday off, and then only working a half day Wednesday and only doing every other Saturday. Well, since January, we're now open every Saturday. And again, it's until about 1:00. We're always closed on a Monday, open Tuesday, half day Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Our hours are typically 9 to 5. You know, we're there a little bit earlier, but 9 to 5 with the aim we would like to probably do a later evening time. But again, it's having the staff to do that. So there is myself, my husband. We've then got two other hydrotherapists, Kristen and Alyssa, who have been just an absolute godsend to us since we found them. And again, I'm sure we'll touch on staff more, but that's been a whole, you know, ride in itself. But they've been amazing. And then we've also got Chase, who's our little weekend boy. I say little weekend boy, he's 18. I mother him when he comes in. It's quite funny. I had to teach him how to file. I'm like, 18, like we don't know how to put stuff in alphabetical order. It's funny. And the other thing is, people don't know how to use a 24-hour clock over here. They can't tell the time. And so we've had to change our request to people to be 12 hours. I'm like, do they not teach that at school? I mean, do you know the 24-hour clock, Meg?
Yeah, no, we work on the 24-hour clock, yeah. But maybe it's Yeah, maybe
You're
it's
not
just
taught
not
it
in
in
America.
school. It's
Yeah.
anyway. We've also got Sam, who graduated from school last year. She came to me and initially was like, "Oh, I want to be a vet tech. I want to be a vet tech." And I was like, "Really?" I was like, "What about this?" I was like, "It's less
Older.
stressful." Yeah, I was like, "I think you have more fun. You can be creative. Like, it's not as stressful." So Sam's with us, and she's in during the week, and she'll sometimes help on Saturdays. And then I have Ben, who is basically he was working for us full time, and then had to go and get a proper job. He said he didn't really have to work at that time, and then his situation changed, and he had to work. But he comes in now every other Saturday and does our bookkeeping. So he does all my oh, what's it called? Not free agent, the other one, QuickBooks.
Okay, yeah.
So he's really good with that. And I think, oh, and Elizabeth. So the other asset that we've got is Elizabeth, and she only comes in on a Thursday. Now, she is a vet tech in a practice, and she's been there for a long, long time. So it was really awesome when we found her that she literally just hit the ground running, like straight away, like knowing how the office stuff runs. And she just, yeah, she is a little godsend too. And I have asked her to work more hours, but she can't at the moment because she's, committed to her other practice, and that's fine, but maybe in time.
So you've got quite a big team. That's
Yeah.
quite a big team. And I'm interested to find out, because as you mentioned in the beginning, there aren't really any courses, hydrotherapy courses in the States. So those two hydrotherapists, where did you find them? Did you source
So
them
there's a
from?
base in Houston. So
Yeah.
Sandra, who we work with quite a bit, again, she had a practice in Scotland, and she moved to Houston like probably a year before we did. And Animal Jobs Direct already used her for practical assessments, and so now she does that in Houston. So the girls
Oh,
go down to Houston and do their practical there, which is pretty awesome. Now, that said, we have as a practice tried to look at ourselves being one of those bases because, like you said, it's lacking. And there is a couple of places in the UK that I need to revisit really and see if that could be something we can do
yeah.
because there's only one in the whole of Texas, and Texas, in perspective, you can fit the UK into Texas almost 3 times.
Crazy.
So yeah, we definitely could do with more places where they can do the practical, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a need in the States for hydrotherapists. So, and I think that a lot of people in other practices all over the States would benefit actually knowing that you can find hydrotherapists. There are people that are doing courses there. So that's
Yeah,
good to know.
yeah. It's easy. I mean, internal flights within the US are normally pretty good. But yeah, it would be good. I need to revisit that because I need to see if that's something we can, become a part of. That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah. So tell me about the name Scuba Sam's. How did you come up with that?
So we were in London having dinner, me and my husband, having a little date weekend. And I was like, come on, we need to think of a name for this business. Like, and we sat there and our dog, Sam, we were like, he was our only dog at the time. We wanted to name the business. That's all right. We wanted to name the business after him in some way. And I didn't want to have like some generic, I don't want to say boring, but I didn't want to be like, I wanted it to be a bit fun, but also remember our dog. So that's what we came up with, Scuba Sam's.
Oh, I love it. So tell me about when you first opened, how did you market the practice? Because I mean, I think that's one of the things where people really, really struggle. I mean, they struggle if they take over an existing practice just to market it. But when you start, from the beginning, you've got no clients. You have to have a pretty good marketing strategy. Do you want to share that with us? And what are the things that worked and what are the things that didn't work?
Well, I honestly, how we built up, we went to vet practices and dropped off brochures and called people and invited them to the center. Ultimately, like the vets are seeing the dogs, they're seeing, diagnosing, etc. So they're the ones that are going to be referring to us. We set up our Facebook and our Instagram pages, and we started posting little tips and stuff like that. Didn't do any Google ads at that time, didn't do anything like that. A lot of it was vet, getting the vets in to come and see us. And we had a few in the local area that came and met us and had a conversation. And I think once they understood that, this is what we do, we specialize in hydrotherapy only. Anything and everything else that's relating to this dog, if there's any issues, it's going to come back to you. And if we need any, guidance, it's going to come to you. And I think they appreciate that. And I do feel once they get past that stigma that you have to be a vet to be a hydrotherapist, and they realize, okay, right, yeah, they're not stepping outside of their box, they're doing like what they're saying they're doing, then they feel comfortable with it too. But yeah, it was a lot of driving around and speaking to people. Like I said, I'm running my own businesses. I've not ever done any official course or anything. So this was all learning as I go, and not just sitting there going, what can I do? I think some of that naturally comes to me anyway, but I do a lot of research online too, and just see, and then how Instagram works, it listens to you, doesn't it? Your phone in some way. These things would pop up and be like, you want to grow your business? I'm like, oh yes. And then you'd look at it and then I'd get little tips from that. So, but yeah, really early on, that was more like brochures and just seeing people and getting out there and inviting them to come see us.
I'm a big fan of building relationships with the veterinary practice around you and getting referrals. I mean, that's how I built my practice. And that for me was also very sustainable. Once I built those relationships, there was very little that I needed to do after that. Just obviously continue with those relationships, send reports to just update the vets on what's happening. But I was doing that anyway, right? You have to do that anyway. And I just got a continuous source of referrals. So, the rest of sort of paid advertising and things, I also didn't need to do. Are you doing any Google ads or Facebook ads now, or is there no need for that now?
So I actually just had a meeting yesterday with our website guy, because they redid everything last year for us, and so the traffic flow is definitely improved. But when we were looking at the results, if you put in hydrotherapy in our area, we're top. We come out as top. When it comes to underwater treadmill or fitness or dog gym and stuff like that, other things were coming up. So we're going to start one just to focus on these keywords where we're not coming up yet, especially for the underwater treadmill. But otherwise, no, this is like the first time, and I'm not probably going to run it for that long. We continue to get a good flow of clients. Yes, I think we definitely could take on more, definitely. So we've got capacity, and I do know, like the other centers in DFW, they're at capacity. There's like 2-week wait list, etc. And we're not at that point. So we obviously just specialize in that one area, whereas they've probably got like one vet that does everything. So you spread yourself thinly, I feel, whereas, hey, we can deal with this element of the rehab, send it our way. But no, so yeah, we've just started. We're about to start one, so it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it's pretty hit and miss, the Google ads. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I must say, at times I've done it myself, and now I just outsource that kind of thing, because to be honest, it's just to try and keep up to date with the changes that are happening in advertising online. I don't have the time and capacity. No. So I'd rather just get somebody who knows what they're doing to do it.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah, that would be my advice to the listeners out there. If you guys have got vet rehab practices, unless you're super techie and, like there are courses, and I've bought multiple Facebook advertising, Google advertising courses. Yeah. And despite having done the courses, I still feel like I don't know really how to do it. So
No.
the course will show you how to do it, and then you'll go into Facebook, for example, completely different to what the course says because they've changed it about
Yeah.
they published the course 2 weeks ago. That's what Facebook does. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a challenge.
Yeah, I definitely leave it. I found a good team, and actually they're in the UK. And it was a friend of a friend knew them, and they've got like their own little business in the UK that they're building up. And yeah, they've been great to work with. I feel like they're more affordable than the US. I feel like they overcharge for everything.
Yeah.
To build a website, it's extortionate. So these guys, I really, really rated them just because, instead of me saying, here's $6,000 to, I've got to pay you all of it right now, you're almost in a contract and you pay like, however much that agreement is with them every month. And then that's, paid for. And actually it's ended up being like half the price of what I would have paid if I'd done it over here.
Wow. So one of the challenges I recall from other interviews when you are working with your spouse is taking leave. So when you want to go on holiday, both of you then obviously go together. You can't go by yourself. How do you guys manage that? I mean, is your team established enough? Do you have somebody that takes on the managerial role when you're gone? Like, how do you take leave, and how much leave do you take per year?
Look, Meg, I'm going to be honest here. Me and my husband are pretty selfish when it comes to travel, and we make time and we do it because we love traveling. And that's why we're self-employed at the end of the day, because we have that freedom to do what we want when we want. So in the past, when we've gone, we've had no hydrotherapy and we've been away for 2 weeks, and all we've been able to do is like say laser therapies and stuff like that. But since then, since we've got Alyssa and Kristen, we have been able to go away, and business has been able to continue, which is really, really nice. So, and they both work together like really well. So there's no one like in charge per se, because we're always available too. They're both, in charge and overseeing. But yeah, no, we've always made time to do stuff. We've got, 2 kids as well. So there's times when like maybe on a Wednesday, we just decided, let's go. There's a hotel over here that's got a pretty cool outside wet area, and it was the summer and the kids are off, and we've not got anyone to have them during the day. So most of the time Mila is spending her days at a club or with us at work. And it's just nice to say, hey, let's go and do this, and rejigging clients around and just doing it. So yeah, I think people over here in the US in particular find that a little bit shocking that we go on so many holidays. Not in Europe. In England, like, again, you live for holidays. They're not used to like 2-week holidays and stuff like that. But I'm like, well, that's on you. Like,
They do like 2 weeks a year in total.
Yeah.
They have they work really hard there.
Yeah.
That's great. Like one of the challenges of running your own practice is, if you don't have anyone to, you either, like, as you say, just have to close for that time, and then obviously don't have the income, which then can make the holiday a little bit stressful. But it's fabulous when you have got people to be able to run the practice for you, so that when you close, it's still happening. So that's great. So how do you keep on top of all the advancements that are happening in the field? Like, what are your learning go-tos? And can you share with the listeners?
I think that's obvious, Meg. I think that's obvious.
It was a bit of a weighted question. No, it wasn't really. So just what, like, I mean, do you go to conferences? I mean, in the States, you guys are so lucky because there's so many, not all vet rehab specific, but there are big veterinary conferences, and they do often have rehab streams. Are you able to go to those, or like what are the type of learning that you're doing?
It depends, really. I haven't managed to get to a conference. Normally the timing's not good when they're in Florida or they're in Vegas, and we're smack bang in the middle. And my primary source really has been online pet health. Absolutely. I have learned so much from the wealth of experience from everybody across the world from using online pet health, and I bang on about it to any other person I speak to. But there's only so much like when you've done your qualifications. So when you're in the job, unless you're working with people that are, your peers or your mentors or whatever, which we didn't have, a lot of it was like, let's watch this, and see what other people are doing. And that's where we gained different ideas, different techniques to bring to the table. Whereas otherwise, everything was pretty much restricted to what we learned in our course. And actually, there was so much more, to learn about hydrotherapy and what you can do. Because ultimately, I find it's being creative, and every dog's different. So, online pet health. I have also done a course through, I can't remember what it's called, but it's an NAV, is it?
NAVC, maybe.
That's it. Yeah. So I did and I've redone it again recently, but it was for a nutritional coach for for small animals. So I just thought that would be quite useful, and it was good. It was very, very informational, and helps a lot with what we do when we get these overweight dogs in. Other than that, it's been like, I did do one. Now there's a lady that was on LinkedIn that came up, and she does her own little courses, but it's more business orientated, like for the practice. So, and it was free for that week. So I sat in and listened, and got some things from it. But I would say the majority is online pet health, definitely.
Well, thank you for being such a great supporter and for shouting out to everyone. Yeah, and I'm in a complete agreement with you. What I love about the online pet health, learning that's there, is that there are so many different perspectives. And like we've really intentionally tried to find so many different people from different countries, because even people in Belgium or other, different countries are doing different things, and people are coming up with so many new things. So just try and get all these different perspectives and learning, so that you're not just focused sort of on one track. So yeah, and the Online Pet Health hydrotherapy platform for me is just amazing when I go and have a look at it, because there's just so much learning there. There really, really is. And there's a lot of things that I still haven't even listened to, and I want to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I made sure actually we had hydrotherapy only, but we now have the small animal one too, because I feel like there's an element in there that kind of fits in with hydrotherapy, like just the knowledge of maybe understanding different conditions and stuff like that. So I do think they complement each other quite well.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, you also, that extra learning, it just gives you a better understanding when you're speaking to the clients and when you've got cases. So as your husband and you are such big travelers, you should be coming to the IAVRPT conference, which is in Cape Town at the end of October, early November.
Oh, well, Meg, if you're paying, we'll definitely be there.
Won't be paying, but I will be there. Luckily for me, it's in my hometown, so it's
that's. I have no idea how much tickets
it's not cheap to fly from the States, and it's very long, I will say. So I've done it a few times, flown from Cape Town to the States. The last conference I went to was 2018 at Knoxville, Tennessee, the IAVRPT conference. And I went for 5 days because I've got young kids, and I must say it was pretty hectic. I think it was like a 22-hour flight with and so I was severely jet lagged, but I just pushed through and then got back on the flight back home. But if you come to Cape Town, you can't do that. You really have to come for like 2 weeks and go on a safari and do all the fun stuff. So you would have to budget for it.
Which is on our bucket list. Absolutely.
Yeah. Actually, so just to wrap it all up, if you could give some advice to somebody who is starting out in the field of hydrotherapy, somebody who is wanting to open up their practice, what is the best piece of advice that you could give them?
I guess I think a lot of it comes down to obviously the individual. I feel like some of these things are naturally ingrained in your soul, but advice is literally, I mean, I'd say get in front of people as much as you can, like be in like around the people that are already running their businesses, ask to go and volunteer. See if you can just get some experience of being there and ask the questions, like literally ask the questions, loads of questions, write it all down. I think the experience definitely helps, but also starting research, like yourselves going on to Online Pet Health, you've got resources there that can help them. But for me, that's really what helped me, was just, and gaining a network of people that you can lean on if you have questions. And again, people that have already been in the business for a while obviously helps. But yeah, I'd say those are the key things. If you're thinking about it and you're not quite sure, definitely go and get that experience first of all. If you've already done that and you're like, yes, I'm ready to go, yeah, just make sure you've got that network and do as much research as you can.
Yeah, I love it that you leveraged those relationships that you built up in your practical time. Because I mean, mentors is really what we need. And I think a lot of us just try and go at it on our own. Like, we're too scared to ask for help. But ideally what you want is mentors, and multiple mentors. Sometimes you can have just clinical mentors. So it might not be a mentor necessarily that'll help you in the business side of things, but to help you with your cases, you can have different mentors. And you can have a business mentor that is somebody who's got an established business that is working well. So that is such great advice. Finding mentors, finding people who you can, ask advice about, bounce ideas about. And people are in our profession, people are always so open to helping one another, and they're there for you, so that's what I love about the vet rehab community. In Online Pet Health, we have our mentors. So we have people in the community that volunteer and mentor, clinical and business mentors. So for those of you that are needing that, it's available. You can just go into our Facebook groups. It's either the Hydro Vet Rehabbers, Business Vet Rehabbers, Equine Vet Rehabbers, or Small Animal Vet Rehabbers. And there's a pin post all about our mentorship. So if you're looking for help, some support, but your way also is equally as easy to do. Just find some practices, go and spend some time with them, and ask loads of questions. Be a sponge. Yeah, I think
it's important as well, just for everybody to, I know some people find it difficult to share because maybe they think, oh, they don't want to share their secrets, or it's competition. But honestly, I feel like we're all trying to aim for the same thing. And I feel like if you can go in with that mentality, like there's plenty of dogs out there, as long as you're doing a good job, like no one's going to be like, oh, I'm going to go here instead. And I've actually got, we work closely with Michelle Broadhurst, and and she's come to our practice as well, like a few times, just for a different insight, to do some chiropractic adjustments, but also just give us a different insight into what's going on with these dogs. But there's been some clients I've said, you know what, you're better off going to Michelle. You live closer to her. I was just like, it just makes sense. Like, and I think that's kind of how I am. And I think Michelle at first was like, oh, you don't think I'm, taking clients on? I'm like, no. I was like, it makes sense for him to be there. He lives half an hour from you. He's taking an hour to drive to me. You're gonna, you're just as, you're fabulous. So it's been quite nice, being able to do that and work with someone else that offers the same thing, and in a different way as well, and not feel like, you're competing. We're helping each other. You gain more by being together than.
I love that. And that's the real sort of vet rehab way of doing things. It's like, we all in it with the same goal, and whether it's me or whether it's you, or whether it's Michelle, it doesn't matter, as long as the best thing is happening for that patient. And like you say, if they're having to travel an hour, it's not going to be sustainable. They're not going to come. They're going to miss appointments. The dogs can have one treatment a week when it should be having 2 or 3. So yeah, I love that. Actually, it's been so lovely chatting to you. Thank you for sharing your story. And I'm hoping that your next travel is going to be to Cape Town, South Africa, for the conference. But yeah, good luck to you and your husband. And yeah, looking forward to seeing what sort of the next few years hold for you. And yeah, it'll be great to get you back on the podcast in a few years for an update.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thanks, Ashley. If you enjoyed this podcast, please hit the subscribe button so you get notified every time I load a new podcast. I'm here every week talking to vet rehab therapists from all over the world about all things vet rehab. A big thanks to our sponsor, Curacor. Their sponsorship allows us to be able to give this podcast to you for free. So please go and check them out at curacor.org. Don't forget to bookmark the next Vet Rehab Summit. It's on Saturday, the 31st of August, 2024. Come and be a part of the world's largest online veterinary rehabilitation conference created specifically for you, the vet rehabber community. Online Pet Health members get VIP complimentary access to the Vet Rehab Summit. For more information about continuing education for vet rehabbers, you can go to onlinepethealth.com.